I'm a international business consultant. Most of my work is basically centered around strategy and business development. International business is basically business on an international level, which may sound kind of trite, but um, the difference really comes in terms of the dynamics that are involved. So, it could be you have different financial situations that you're dealing with, financial systems you're dealing with, different economic circumstances and limitations, you have legal frameworks, and then of course, you obviously have cultural and language differences to deal with. It's usually a mix of about 50 different things, but most of all, it's a lot of client work, a lot of essentially research and writing and presenting, meeting with clients, and then also making time to learn, to keep up to date myself, and then also essentially to have time to network too, because that's the never-ending dilemma for a consultant is you have a client, but you also have to constantly be working to keep new things in the pipeline. So that's I would say it's a mix of those three major things, and then of course you throw the travel in there, and that kind of messes everything up. So For me, I think there are a couple things in terms of in terms of what interested me in international. That's kind of a bit well, pretty much what my background has been, just my family background and upbringing, and then also life experiences. I lived in Argentina, I lived in Italy for a long time, and those experiences really kind of shifted kind of what my career choices were, and in a good way. I remember after college thinking, how would I ever use my experience, having lived in South America, and actually right after college, it was still kind of we were still kind of in a bit of a recession, but it was just around the time that the emerging markets really started to get some interest, and so it was sometimes you never know what experiences can bring to you. One thing that you can never underestimate is traveling. I think that's really opens your mind. If there's if I were talking to, and when I do talk to folks that I mentor, I think spending some time in a place that interests you, reading about it, learning the language, building relationships with the people, all of that is going to give you kind of the perspective and the ability to not just on a business, not just on a business level to operate, but also to be able to really operate on a business level. You got to be able to operate on a human level. So understanding the context, understanding like the different dynamics of wherever you're doing business. I think all of that, and that could be, for someone that's starting out, it could be going and teaching English for a few months and meeting people. It could be as simple as that, or it could be taking a full-time job in exactly the area that you want to be in, somewhere else, or even in this country that has to do with the region that you're interested in. So there are lots of opportunities. Studying the language as well. I think that makes a big difference. And reading, reading about different things. One of the big things is being sufficiently capitalized. Having enough money to, it takes a while to build a practice, and you've got to have a year's worth of kind of savings, I would say, if you really want to be on the safe side, to build up a solid practice. So having some capital helps. I think the other thing that I probably underestimated, as a student, was the power of networking. And I think a lot of us kind of go through school and we make our friends, and then we never really understand the real value of what your school network is until you actually come to need it. And for someone like in my position, it's really helpful. I mean, my college and my grad school friends have been really essential to kind of connecting me to other people, and I think they can make a big difference for someone. There's a lot going on. I mean, when you just think about just think about the fact that I think in the U.S. where it's 4% of businesses, only 4% are actually doing business internationally, and that includes Canada and Mexico. So you can just imagine, really, with what's happening in the world. I mean, the rise in emerging markets. There's a huge amount of opportunity, and so what's happening is in the States, the market's been slow for the past couple of years, and a lot of companies actually are really really having a stronger interest in doing business abroad. And the same thing in Europe. I work with some European companies, and it's the same kind of a situation as well, where the domestic market is really slow, and so they're looking to Asia, they're looking to Latin America, and so that's with faster the faster growth in those parts of the world. I think that we're going to see this kind of trend increasing for quite some time. I think in the past, companies have tended to see international markets as just additional customers or consumers for their products. And what's actually being introduced into the mix now is that they're starting to see international markets as sources for labor. They're seeing them as sources of places where they can actually find good human resources. They also are seeing them, as incubators, or certainly as test markets. So there's going forward, again, it's back to the issue of integration, and the more that we become, our businesses become integrated with businesses in other countries, that need, it's kind of like the market in and of itself is bringing us to that anyway. The most important thing is to just continue to be well read, to have an interest in it, and I think that's something that's kind of inherent, and someone who's interested in international issues is typically somebody who's following them. They're reading about them, and I think keeping up to date, reading publications in business, reading Financial Times or reading The Economist, or even looking at foreign press, I think is really helpful, because our media doesn't do a very good job at all about talking about anything that's not U.S. related. So yeah, I think it's reading and having an interest, and talking to people too. Making, if you're interested in working in a particular market, and try to start to make some connections there. Write to some people. With LinkedIn these days, you can really reach out to a lot of people, and I found people to be pretty receptive generally.